Hi, everyone. Just so you know, we are live on YouTube right now. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you, Ann. Hi, Meg. Hi, Steve.
Looks like Steve is connecting.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yeah.
Hello there, gang.
Hi,
Hey,
Steve. Just so you know, we are live on YouTube right now.
Hi, live on YouTube.
Watch your language, Steve. That's what
That's
Ann's
right.
saying.
I'm going to let everybody know.
Adam, I only have nice things to say about everybody.
I know that. I like that facial hair, Steve. You look fabulous.
Well, you kind of set the style for me, Adam. So it's my no shave November.
All right.
Nice.
You and I are both doing that bleached beard look, aren't we?
It's blonde. It's that blonde look. Yes. Hello, Meg, neighbor. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, neighbor Steve?
Okay.
What do you think of our lights outside? Did you notice them?
Yeah, looks fantastic.
Yeah. Our contribution to holiday joy.
We all need it nowadays.
We certainly do, don't we?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sitting in Florida wearing shorts right now. I just had
Oh.
to say that.
You are? You beast.
Meg looks properly bundled for
I
our
am
weather right
bundled.
now.
That's why
I am
said it. You
bundled.
look cold, Meg.
No, just bundled, you know. Been out and about today at sub-freezing temperatures.
We had snow flurries, Adam.
Yeah.
I heard the rumor.
Yeah.
Oh, it
did,
wasn't a
yes.
rumor. It was true.
My boys jumped on the trampoline in the snow.
Wow.
Oh, boy. Are they in school or are they remote?
School from home. Yeah.
Home. Okay.
Virtual. Yeah.
So do we have everybody supposed to be here?
I just see a few just popped in here, so I'm going to admit everyone.
Hey, Allison.
Allison's on mute. Stephanie's on mute.
Allison's here now.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been on for like 5 minutes and it just waited to accept me.
You got the boss behind you looking over your shoulder there, I can tell.
Oh, actually, that was a terrible picture. That was one of Chris in Michigan, and he was making a very weird hand sign. I'm sorry. We had a Zoom call yesterday, and he was playing around with the backgrounds.
No.
So I'm here.
Hi, everyone. So just so you know, we are live on YouTube right now. I'm going to go ahead and officially start our meeting. Welcome to the Parks and Trails Commission meeting for the City of Town and Country, November 30th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. And there's Cassie.
Fritz is on.
Hi, everyone. I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get started. I can see that we have Meg Johnson, Steve Korbecki, Cassie Harold, Alderman Fritz Wiesehan, Stephanie Peterson, Allison Barclay, and Adam Baer are present for the meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to accept them.
Before we do, I'd like to make a point of clarification on the minutes.
Yes, sir.
The last number 2 under new business, I think the last sentence, which currently reads, some small inexpensive ideas were discussed, such as storybook. I think we should add for town square to be specific.
Okay,
So if somebody reads this to know exactly what we're talking about.
yes, thank you.
And with that, I'll second Stephanie's motion to approve.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes stand approved. Okay, do we have any park reports?
I mean, I have the same report. I am worried about the fencing, Ann, but I know you're getting to it in Longview. But I know that's a budget issue. And I did email you that suggestion that we put those, I don't know, the things on the doors in the restroom that you can open the doors with your feet. So after you've washed your hands, you don't have to touch the door handle. So.
Yes, thank you for that. That's a great suggestion. I hadn't thought of it. If you have a link to any of them, I started looking at them and didn't quite find what I thought I was looking for. But if you,
I'd be glad to email. I found like 100 of them. So I'll send you
yeah,
some links.
okay. Any of the
Okay.
above, I guess I was kind of trying to see, I don't know which ones work or are reliable or.
Yeah, I'll send you the ones that look safe to me.
Okay, great. Thank you. Stephanie, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I actually ran through, what's the one by,
Preservation.
thank you. Ran through preservation because I don't think anybody's been there in a while. Did that last week. And the trails are actually in pretty good shape. There's a couple places where there are branches down on the trail, but I mean, nothing that's impassable. The pavilion was totally clean, looked perfect. There was nobody there because, I mean, it was kind of a cold day when I was running and the trash was emptied. Everything looked good. The asphalt trail looked good. I mean, I thought it looked like it was in better shape than the time I'd been there before.
Great.
And I'm happy to report we had, since the grandkids were here, we had Drace and Preservation, and the parks were filled on Saturday. I mean, Drace had 100-something people there. I was really amazed. So
Wow.
Wow.
looked good. Everybody was enjoying themselves, practicing social distancing as best they could. So
Great. Okay. Moving on to events. We have Pictures with Santa on Saturday. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of a warm up, but the weather looks a little chilly. We're starting at 4 p.m., so that should help everybody out a little bit. A couple programs coming up are the Winter Solstice program, and we're continuing the Combating Physician Burnout classes that are through Project Unplugged. So those are continuing with Missouri Baptist. Fritz, would you like to jump in here on the Winter Solstice or programming in general? We talked a little bit about having programs at Town Square, having programs in the parks, and sort of the determining factor or some considerations for each of those. I don't know, would you like to bring?
Yeah. No, Ann and I spoke last week about, I think it was last week, about the just the different events. I was trying to just get an update of kind of what the Winter Solstice event was and what the expectations were for it. You know, and I wanted to bring it up to the commission to see if what everybody thought of the event, of having it at Town Square, or given the event itself and kind of the layout of it, if there was a different location for it that anybody thought, given that it's a nature themed event. And so just kind of wanted to have an open discussion if there was any thoughts or kind of what everybody thought about it.
well, I have to plead my ignorance. Can we talk about what the intent of it is going to be besides the winter solstice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, maybe people probably don't know all the details of it, but it's an art and craft where adults or families can make a small lantern, and then once the lantern is made, they go for a sort of meditative walk throughout town square or somewhere else if we'd like to change the location. That's it. It's kind of a small program. We have 3 sessions, 3 different dates for it.
Is
Time
this
is
through
what-
Project
Go ahead, Nick.
Unplugged? Is that?
That's right. Mhm.
Well, what time is it, Ann? Times are they?
No, I don't have them right in front of me, Steve.
Well, ballpark. Is it an evening? Is it?
There's a Saturday morning and
Okay.
2 Sunday late afternoon. I think they're 3 to 5.
Okay. And Fritz, are you concerned about it for a particular reason, or just want to get feedback?
No, I just wanted to get feedback. I was unaware as well of kind of the event itself, and so when I heard about it, I just wanted to bring it back to the commission and see, just get feedback of the location, if it was being an event walking through nature, if Town Square was the right location for it, or if Drace or Longview or Preservation or something like that. I don't have any opposition to it being at Town Square. Just wanted to get anybody, just wanted to have the conversation about the event and the location if there was any thoughts or feedback on it.
What's the expected attendance? Do we know, Ann?
What's the expected attendance?
Yeah.
Well, it will be fewer than 10. That's our maximum that we can have right
Okay.
now. Mhm.
And that's a sign-up deal, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
They have to register. They pay the fee. So that we
And
know
who
who's
is
coming.
hosting it? Who is actually the person running it? I mean, how is it?
Jeannie Klockner
Okay.
is the instructor. She also does the MBSR courses.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
Does she have
seems
a
like the ti-
preference?
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
what's the preference?
What does she have a preference for location?
She liked the town square location. I think she would do it wherever we directed her to. I selected town square essentially to have some activity there.
Mhm.
Like Steve said, the parks are getting used, pretty heavily, but there are times that town square is slower. And just, I don't know, the visual of having some lanterns walking through town square sounded
Nice.
kind of nice on a cold winter morning or at late afternoon.
I
And they
like
could,
that.
yeah, they could use the pavilion for the project itself, right?
Exactly. Uh-huh.
So I was going to say, it's a good place to actually make the lantern, use the pavilion. But if the aim is to see nature, I'd say it's not the best place. But
Yeah.
if you really
Agree.
wanted to walk to Longview, you just go through the tunnel, walk 2/10 of a mile, and you're at Longview. So, I mean, if families really want to see nature, I'd say, you're not going to see it at a town square, but it's a great place to make a lantern.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, it's the focus is more welcoming winter
okay,
and
yeah,
encouraging people to do activities outdoors, especially this year.
yeah.
To
I
have
mean, if that's the case, then town square is great. And if somebody really wants to go see nature, just send them up the tunnel.
I guess
Okay.
I'm okay with it for what the purpose is. I mean, it'd be good for some people to get into town square, that's for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
I
Yeah.
agree also.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
okay.
that sounds good.
But I'm glad we had the discussion, Fritz, because I wasn't even aware of all the details. So thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, absolutely.
We'll move on to our next item, which is a discussion about fire and ice. The Ways and Means Commission has recommended to not include fire and ice in the 2021 budget. And so Fritz and I talked, and we have a lot of options between no fire and ice, zero budget, you know, some sponsorships to cover some items, and the full $25,000 that we typically spend on fire and ice. So, and Fritz, you can feel free to piggyback on this. We wanted to get all of your input sort of on those options. Would you be in favor of no fire and ice in the budget, $0, which means that our staff will not be planning for fire and ice because we do it, you know, starting in January. Something in the middle, which would include fireworks and something, whatever dollar amount we land on, or a full-blown fire and ice, something that our budget is based on, that we should keep in mind is that we have the 2021 projections based on no vaccine. So essentially we have, you know, very conservative projection as far as revenue goes. Just to keep that in mind, you know, we're depending on what quarter that's actually realized and how quickly it goes, could have some impact on the budget. And Fritz, I'll hand it over to you if you want to comment.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it back to when it was brought up to the board. I wanted to bring it back to the commission to discuss, to see where everybody stands on it. I feel that it's something that we should try to continue to have, you know, in some capacity, whether it's, I mean, ideally at full capacity. You know, just assuming for a moment that we don't have the concerns of the health concerns of COVID, you know, I think it'd be, if there's a way to figure it out, to have it, mainly because I think given that it's the largest event for the residents of Town and Country, that there's a lot of participation of it, or if there's a way, as Ann mentioned, to have just the firework display or just some aspect of it, to continue on, you know, to have that event throughout the year. So, I mean, I'd be in favor of, and Ann and I discussed, is there an option of, you know, are there other things that we can do in the budget to you know, to kind of thin out, to make up that 25,000 or to make up a portion of it. You know, I would like to be able to say that it's, that some aspect of it is still in the budget, so that Ann and everybody's able to plan for it. Then it's something to look forward to. I mean, it's always easier to take it out if we can't do it than to leave it, or than to not have it now. So I just wanted to get everybody else's take on it and see what everybody thought about it.
I agree.
What
I would like to see
percentage
the
of the
fireworks.
25,000 is for fireworks? Yeah. What dollar amount is typically spent on fireworks?
You're muted.
6,500.
I mean, it is the biggest
Seems
event
like
of
we
the
could do
year,
that.
and I think people can watch fireworks socially distanced. I mean, I can see them from my house, like if I walk up the top of my street. So I would vote for at least having the fireworks, because I think that's a safe thing we could do. At least have something, and then depending on how COVID goes and how immunizations go or whatever, we could add food or whatever if it was safe. But if not, at least the fireworks would be something that everybody could do safely.
Where does the other money go? There's a big difference between the fireworks and the 25,000. What other things are we spending for the event?
Yeah, I could send you all the full budget if you'd like to see it. But I can tell you off the top of my head, most of it. So the band wagon and the band are large expenses. The large dining tent is actually one of the largest expenses. The bounce houses, those 4 items are the biggest expenses. Then we
Shuttle
have the
buses.
shuttle buses and all of the police staffing. So I'm trying to just sort of get the, sort of if I think of 5,000, 5,000,
Yeah,
5,000. And so those are the biggest items. And so, if we have restrictions, we may not be able to have restaurants. So there goes a big dining tent. We may not be able to,
Certainly
put
would not
people
be able
on
to have
buses.
bounce houses.
What's that?
So can I ask a point of clarification?
Mhm.
For procedurals, because the Ways and Means has said to take it out, doesn't it still go to the board to say we agree with this
Yes,
budget as
that's
it
right.
is?
Correct.
So
And
if we recommend as a committee, hopefully the board will take that into consideration and say, well, we don't agree with the Ways and Means thing. Am I right on the procedural part of it?
That's exactly right, Steve. And the board did not comment too much on fire and ice being removed from the recommendations. But at the next meeting, I expect it will be a discussion. And so, I mean, Fritz, you can jump in here too. I think the board would like to hear from Parks and Trails,
Mhm.
what you all would like to see.
Yeah, and that was really the reason that I wanted to bring it back. If the group consensus was to absolutely follow Ways and Means, then that's what I would bring back. Like I mentioned, I think that there's a possibility to have something, if whatever that something might be, I think it's worth trying to figure out how to do that. And bring that back to the board and kind of go over that.
I think it's imperative that we put a placeholder in there, but unfortunately we can't put any details to it. So to Stephanie's point, we can socially distance and watch fireworks. So that's the scenario where we're still somewhat clamped down on gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
In the opposite scenario, if the vaccines go as planned, and I've been doing some research on that today for other reasons, but there's an okay chance, there's a 50-50 chance that by 4th of July, we'll be partially opened up. And if and when that time comes, or if that time comes by 4th of July, I would say kill the fireworks and have a community close up thing. And I don't mean close up, but that would be, to me, food tents and get people there together with a little band or what have you. So I say, let's put a placeholder there. Let's make up a dollar amount, and we just can't fill in. And I know, Ann, you've got a plan. We can't fill in any details for at least 3 or 4 months from now, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We got to do something.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to do something. I also think we could push it back a couple months and not necessarily do it in July. Every time we try it in July, it rains anyway. So,
Yeah,
maybe we push it back to September and kind of make it a back to school celebration or festival.
the fall festival.
Yeah, and give
Right.
herself
Fall
a couple more
festival.
give herself a couple more months to see what happens. But do put a placeholder in there. I think we need to do something in the community to get people out if we're to the point we can do it.
I think the fall festival, when we had the fireworks at that time, was wonderful.
Right.
And I don't know, is the fall festival out of the budget also? Fritz?
It's such a smaller dollar amount. So it is in.
So we could put, to Alice's point, we could put a placeholder in there of maybe 12.5, I'll pick a number. Tie it to fall festival. The 12.5 could pay for, we're gonna have bouncy houses anyway at the fall festival, I think, we usually do, in crafts. We could still do something around fireworks then if we wanted to. And be a nice community event. Maybe we cut down on the food just because of what's going on, but I don't think that's critical. People could bring a picnic lunch or whatever, so.
Yeah, and I can say for planning purposes, typically I have all of the, you don't usually get refunds on things like bounce houses and the dining tent, but you can pick a rain out date. And so I typically pick the fall festival as the rain out date for Fire and Ice anyway. So it's a nice way to be able to plan for Fire and Ice. If we can have it, we have it. If we can't have it, then it's pushed to fall festival. So that's a good way to handle it, so that we, we usually put deposits on each of those items. They're required for most items. So we secure our vendors.
And how long in advance do you have to have the fireworks reserved?
It's different for each vendor. So for fireworks, they are 90 days.
Okay. And how much was the budget for Fall Festival?
I don't have that off the top of my head. I can get it to you.
Well, I was just kind of thinking, I mean, if it's with the discussion, I mean, if there's an option of just planning, is it worth just planning for one event in 2021? Combining the two to where it's.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I remember this commission, especially when they had the fireworks in the fall. I mean, it was great. You don't have to wait until 10 o'clock to shoot them off. They can be shot off at, 7 p.m. almost.
Well, and the other thing about fall is residents are here. The thing about
that's right.
It's so close to the 4th of July. If we're in a summer like past summers, people go away. So a lot of people aren't actually appreciating or enjoying that as much. For Fall Festival, because the kids are back in school, there may be more attendance.
Okay. So it sounds, I think that's a good point. I don't know if that we need a motion, Fritz. You tell me what you want. It sounds like this commission would like to see a placeholder for Fire and Ice. The board is going to decide what that number is anyway. I can give the board a menu of what each item costs, how much fireworks, bounce houses, dining tent, shuttle buses, just itemize that out. And go from there. Is that enough direction, Fritz, or do you want something more specific?
Do you have any expectations of, like, if you took out the bounce houses, for example, do you think that the dining tents would be used as much, or vice versa? Like, how much draw, for the entire event is, kid oriented, versus, other things, or you see what I'm saying? Like, how, what are your expectations if you take certain things out?
You're asking everybody?
Anybody's input or Ann's input, or I'm just kind of curious.
Fritz, I'd say having kids, I would not put my kids in a bounce house in July or next fall even. There is no plans for a pediatric vaccine. There's been no pediatric studies. I just think that's, a lot of people are going to say, no, thank you. I'm not going there. I'm happy to put my family on a blanket and watch the fireworks. Everybody can distance and still do that regardless of where we are. And then also a tented area. I would much rather have my family sitting on a blanket or at a picnic table or something that's uncovered. People don't want to put themselves into a tent right now. Maybe that'll change a little bit, but it seems like that's money that we could save and spend on more fireworks or other things, and have a nice fireworks celebration, but not make plans and spend money with vendors reserving those things only to have to cancel them probably later. So just my 2 cents. I wouldn't be comfortable doing either of those things.
I think totally agree with you.
Right.
Those are great points. The other thing, I'd stay away from food trucks and stuff. I would maybe think about getting the restaurants to give people some kind of discount to order their food and bring it out to the picnic.
Yeah.
And that way we try to support local businesses. But I think taking food tents and all that out of the budget is probably a good idea. And bounce houses, let's just make it a family gathering, bring your own food, and we'll have fireworks kind of thing.
And also we could do electronic music. You don't really need a band. I mean, in today's digital world, we have piped in music just as well that,
I agree.
variety, something for, young people, something for old people, so that it's, more of a blend of music.
A huge savings.
Right, it's huge savings.
Mhm.
And I don't know that people really stand around and watch the band. I think they're more,
Yeah.
Socializing with people or not.
So do you want a motion or do you not want a motion? What would you guys prefer?
I mean, it sounds like that the consensus is to definitely keep something.
Yeah.
And, but it's still still kind of a matter of trying to figure out the details of what the event will be and when, whether it's Fire and Ice and Fall Festival or a combination of both. But do you think we would need a motion to bring something back in? I mean, I'm not really sure how to.
What about if you just turned it around and asked Ways and Means or the board, if we want a placeholder, they might give us better guidance about, hey, okay, we can placehold 12.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Agree and see, and then go backwards and say, well, if we have 12.5, this is what we can have.
Mm-hmm.
Plan for Fire and Ice. If the world is at its best possible situation, we get rained out, it moves to Fall Festival, which is sort of what we do every year.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah.
We would like a placeholder. What do you think you can give us?
Okay.
Yeah. Meg
Show
just
them
hit it
what-
on the head.
And what you're saying, it's 6,500
Yeah.
fireworks. This is how we've spent it in last year's. Tell us what you think we could work with.
It does sound though that we're talking about kind of a scaled down Fire and Ice. There's some
Right.
things that we all agree. And the things about the children in the bounce house, excellent point. I
Yeah.
hadn't even thought about that there's some things that we collectively think that are not going to be needed. And so it'd be less
Right.
money than the 25.
Right.
We haven't received any direction from St. Louis County just yet on summertime events.
Right.
We're of course asking all the time because this is when we're planning for summer events. But it's a good possibility that we may not be able to have bounce houses and food vendors on site also.
We can't plan any details. I think we've all agreed we gotta have a placeholder. We just don't know what and we don't know when. So we just have to make up a dollar figure, and there's a motion on the floor, not really, that it's 12.5.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I
How
think
about
that's a good number.
12.6? 12.6.
Or
That's
even
your commission?
placeholder. Fritz, don't you think that if we have just a motion from this commission that we would like to have Fire and Ice, have a placeholder in the budget so that we can plan, even if it's minimally,
Mm-hmm.
and the board can determine what that dollar amount is. I mean,
Yeah.
the board determines it anyway, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay. Can we have that motion from someone?
So
I'll
moved.
make the motion. I'll second.
Okay. Stephen and Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you for that good discussion. Okay, our next item is to discuss the possibility of having ice skating at Town Square.
Ice skating.
I'll give you a little bit of background on this. The city of Des Peres allows ice skating in Des Peres Park when that lake freezes. We have the same insurance company as the city of Des Peres. And so I'm working with them to get all of the details on their requirements. They certainly do allow it. And then also, just all of the protocol that Des Peres follows. I know that they post no skating and they post skating if it's available. This was just an idea that was brought up, and I would just like to get everyone's input.
I'll jump in first.
Bring
How do we determine that the ice is thick enough? Who's going
Yeah,
to do that?
so it is for De Pere, it's their city staff who go and measure, and it's they're very conservative. So I think I don't know how thin you can skate on ice. I know you can skate on thin ice, but they do 12 inches. So it's a
What's the
very
liability?
hard freeze.
Hmm.
So there you go. It's their city staff measures the ice when it's time to measure.
And are you thinking it would be at Longview on the lake there? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. This is just sort of a new can of worms, but I have some reservations about Longview just because it is not visible at all. And so I have some just safety questions about Longview. I think Town Square is, not that you want to think about an emergency, but you have to think about an emergency. If somebody needed to get to Town Square, you can get in there so easily. Getting down into Longview is just
Longview,
more
not so much.
difficult. It takes longer. Calling for help would take longer, some of those kinds of things. So I don't know about Longview.
I love the picture of ice skating at Town Square. It just sounds great. And
Yeah.
as long as we're conservative safety wise, then I see no reason not to.
How
What's the
easy is it to
liability?
get to the lake, though? Yeah, the liability seems huge, but that's me. Sorry, I can't help it.
Well, I think we could investigate that with our legal and have them talk to De Pere and see what they think. If they're, I'm kind of with Adam. I think it'd be kind of neat. I don't think we're going to get that cold of weather to have a long ice skating period either, guys, because it never is.
Right,
So,
never does.
back in the old days, we used to get a lot of that time, but not anymore. So
And do you know if our lake at Town Square is deeper than De Pere?
It's not. And it's also smaller. So it would probably
okay.
freeze faster than De Pere does. Mhm.
Is there a cost to this for the people that ice skate? And what's the, is there like a lifeguard or whatever you would call
Yeah.
it, some safety type person on board?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So De Pere does none of that. They don't do anything. They don't, provide skates, patrol the ice, sweep the ice. A lot of times
Yeah.
around here, if it's frozen,
Don't
it
empty
also
out.
has snow on top of it. So they don't clear the snow. They do not actively manage it other than their liability sign and their, protocol as far as what's required, what's allowed, what's not.
So I assume it
not-
says you're skating at your own risk. You can skate today, you can't skate this day based on thickness, and that's all they do.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Have they had any issues?
They haven't. And I will say, I don't have the exact numbers of how many skating days they've had each year. I can get those from the superintendent over there, but it's not very many. When I asked him the questions, they've had seasons with no ice skating days. They had one very cold year. I can't remember, I guess if it was this past winter that, we had a good week of frozen ice. And so they had some skating.
So what do you think about your staff
So-
being responsible for determining whether it's thick enough, Anne?
Well, it makes me nervous. I want to know the exact protocol, and I need to know all of the protocol. But De Pere manages it very well. I mean, they said they don't think it's an issue, and the insurance company has certainly said that we can do it. We'll have to follow whatever guidelines they give us with signage.
Yeah, I think.
So,
But I
Anne,
think
I
we can do it.
drive by
I mean-
De Pere Park, and I've never seen anybody skating. I'm just curious, do people actually use it? I mean, you say it's thick enough. Does anybody actually show up with ice skates to skate or not? I've just never seen anybody doing it at De Pere Park.
They do. I don't think they're overwhelmed by ice skaters, but they do have people come skate for sure. Yeah, I mean, we have a lake in our neighborhood, so I'm kind of, I have a sense of managing the ice and being very conservative on testing the thickness, and it almost always requires shoveling snow at my house to be able to skate.
Right.
And will there be staff to do it 7 days a week to test it or to check the?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the
I mean, we
thickness?
would just have to schedule that way.
And I think I heard somebody ask, but how do you envision getting on the ice on that particular lake? I know it's kind of steep around the bank.
You could just walk down that. It's not very steep.
Okay.
I mean, from the levee side it is, or, from the neighborhood side it is steep, but you could go from the asphalt trail right down
Okay.
to the water pretty easily.
Okay.
Hi,
So,
Beth. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, hi. Sorry, joined a little late, but hello, everybody.
Hey,
I'm with Adam. I agree. This could be like a very visually, I love the idea of it. Ice skating outside in our new pond. I was curious how deep the lake is, if there were to be any issues. And then also, is there a way to like post it online to say if it's open versus closed, or do you just have to show up at the pond and kind of look for the signs? How do you know if you can go on it or not?
We would definitely post it online as well. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And do you know how deep it is? I'm just curious. How deep is
I think it's 14 in the center.
Okay, so it's not that deep then.
It's not, and it's at the bowl from the water's edge.
Yeah.
So if you can think about that slope, there's not much of that lake that's 14 feet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess same concern as everybody else, just how safe it is with, you guys being comfortable testing it. And, but I love the idea if it can happen safely.
Okay. We don't need a motion on this. I just wanted a general, sounds beautiful, fun ice skating, wintertime at Town Square, or thumbs down, this is a dangerous, awful nightmare idea. And so I'll bring you everything from the insurance company and all of that as soon as I have it. Before we won't do it until we're really ready.
And do we
So if
have
it
a,
freezes before the next meeting, there's no ice skating.
okay, and do we have a deductible or self-retention on the insurance policy, or is it $1 coverage? Do you know?
I believe it's $1 coverage for any of, we had some water damage. We had, a few different items. Those were covered 100%.
Okay.
Now for like an injury, I'm not sure. So I will have to look at all of that.
and Ann, one more thing before you leave this topic, will you talk to legal and see what our legal guys, or have you already talked to our legal guys?
Yes, and they also represent DePere.
Okay, and they fully aware of this, and they say they're not worried about it.
Mhm.
Okay, I got my skates ready.
Nice.
Tell me when you're going.
We could have a meeting on the
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything else for the good of the group? All right. I'm just looking at the calendar. It looks like our next meeting is scheduled for December 21st.
Do we need a meeting in December?
I don't think so. The only item that I may try to get feedback from you all on would be the skating. And we can do that over email. I can send out all of those documents. And the board would need to approve it also anyway.
I would just suggest we skip the meeting in December with being so close to the holiday, that's all.
Okay, so we look at January 18th.
And you got to work around Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That always comes up. Yeah.
That's right. And that is Martin Luther King Day. That is. So let's look
You're
at,
good, Steve.
you are.
I've been doing this long enough, Adam, I remember.
No, that's right. So shall we, since we're skipping December, I was going to say January 4th, but that is not going to be a good date.
How about the 11th?
It's a board meeting night. So
Okay.
we can do it before the board meeting if you want to, Fritz. Sometimes it's a lot of meeting.
What can we
You
do at the
know, I don't
9th?
know if
How about the 19th?
that's what I was just looking at. I think if that would work for everybody, that might be the best date. January 19th. Okay.
I'll be ice skating on the pond, so I'll be ready to go.
All right. Unless anyone has anything.
Oh,
We
but
will-
Fritz, your decorations look really good. Nice job.
Yeah, thanks.
Should we plan on 6:30 again?
Yes, if that still works for everyone. And I'm glad you brought that. It is the third Monday at 6:30. Does that still work for everyone? We'll be scheduling for 2021. You know, we schedule the year. Not that we can't change them, but if that's
a
just our,
Tuesday. The 19th is Tuesday.
Right.
it's only because that's Martin Luther
Yeah.
King Day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But otherwise, our regular date will be the third Monday at 6:30.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes they have to move February because it's President's Day. That's a holiday for
Yes.
the kids too.
Yeah.
Same thing, Tuesday or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
All
Happy
right.
holidays to everybody.
Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
everybody.
Happy holidays.
Stay safe.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right.
Adios.
Have a great night.
Adios. Adam,
Good
stay,
night.
don't get sunburned, Adam.
All right. See you, Coach.
Bye, guys.